Business owners in West Africa often lack the resources and expertise needed to take their companies to the next level. Now, private equity is becoming a major source of funding for such SMEs, offering them the capacity to blossom into bigger companies. Now, earlier today, I spoke to Dara Owoyemi. She's the Chief Operating Officer at the African Private Equity and Venture Capital Association. Well, she tells us how private equity could potentially transform SMEs in West Africa. Take a look.
Nigerians are well renowned for being entrepreneurs. Every other Nigerian you see on the street has one or two other business cards other than their main jobs. What we found in this industry or in Nigeria is the fact that it's very difficult to raise capital, especially if you're an entrepreneur starting out, you do not have any collateral. A lot of banks find it difficult to lend to you. Where private equity does come in is our fund managers are looking to invest in the private sectors. They're looking for companies that they can put their money and capital to work in and scale up and create larger businesses which they can move to become country or even regional companies. So where private equity does come in is in helping to provide financing for SMEs who are struggling to find capital in other places.
Okay, now let's assume, hypothetically speaking, I'm an entrepreneur and I have this great business idea, and then I'm spotted by a private equity investor. Now, what would that investor be looking out for? What would make him say, yes, okay, I would put my money here?
Well, private equity professionals go through a very rigorous due diligence process where they look at a number of potentially bankable investments in the country. But for them to come to a point where they decide, I'm going to put my money in this company, it has to be a company that they believe is backable, that has potentially a good team or a good business plan in place, and a business where they see that they can create value, not only value in terms of creating a business that will be worth several $1 million in 5 to 10 years time, but also a business where they're contributing to creating jobs, adding taxes to the economy, and really developing the economy at large. So it has to be a bankable business. It has to be a business where there's an opportunity not just to develop just that business, but the economy at large.
Okay, now usually when a private equity investor comes on board, the entrepreneur has to share control of the company. Usually, what's the trend? In your experience, what has been the trend? Because here in Nigeria and even in West Africa, many of these businesses are family businesses, so it's usually difficult for these entrepreneurs to let go of some part or some stake in the company. But what's usually the response to this?
Well, as the African Private Equity and Venture Capital Association, we've done a lot in terms of promoting this industry and educating both investors and entrepreneurs on what private equity actually is. And what we find in Nigeria today is more and more entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and even bigger organizations understand what private equity is. Now, typically what you find within the industry is private equity professionals are not looking to come take over a business, slash and burn. That's not what we do in Africa. It's more about development capital. So typically what you will find is that private equity fund managers are investing, putting minority stakes into these enterprises. What this means is that we're not coming to take a controlling stake, but we're taking 30% in your business. And there has to be alignment from the very beginning with the company CEO or entrepreneur, just for them to understand that we're not coming to take over your business, but we want to be a strategic partner with you. We're coming to help to see how we can grow your business, scale your business, make it successful, so that in 5 to 10 years time, once we've created value within your business, we can exit your business. In this industry, as a fund manager, what is one of the things that's particularly important is how do I exit from any company that I'm invested in? Now, there's several exit routes in Africa. Typically, you have Typically, you have investors exiting via by selling back to the entrepreneurs, or you have them selling via trade buyers or IPOing in these markets. But it's important that there's an alignment from the very beginning, even how these fund managers exit these businesses.